To be an ASCC president, I think it's something you can't really prepare for, right? And again, we're at community college, so I feel like this is just a small taste of what really is out there. But when it comes to ASCC, I think it's not something you can prepare for. You kind of just have to hop in and do it, and it takes time management, right? It takes being mindful of like all students when you're making decisions, when you're showing up on campus, when you're doing day-to-day activities, like what is it that I'm doing on a daily basis to not only improve what I see immediately, but also improve the lives of everybody else, right? And that comes down to like, what do we have power to influence here as ASCC, and then also how can we broaden that, and how can we like see those changes. So I would say that there have been some difficulties, and every difficulty is met with a lesson which will like serve me in the future, right? And hopefully whoever's involved. And I would say the most difficult things have been to manage like the maintenance of the position while also making sure to manage the maintenance of the relationships with each individual you come into contact with, right? So that's the students, that's the senators, that's the ECAB, that's the advisor, that's the the president of the college, that's the board members. And so making sure to be like present with them while also fulfilling your duties, because being present with them is not a duty, but it's like of utmost importance when you're in that position, because it's one thing to just perform the duties, but it's another to be performing duties and also be present with people. And so I would say that has been my biggest challenge. If anything, make sure you talk to students more. One thing I think I wish I had more of would be time, like more time to go and interact with students. We did a great survey this semester, and we got a lot of great student feedback. And I think if they implemented more of those surveys and got students involved on a quarterly basis, they would be able to see, okay, students are happy with this. Now, if we could dig a little bit further and not just talk about events, but how are students feeling about student government? Do you feel you're well represented? Do you feel your voice is heard? I think those are really key points to take away from this. And then also, just make sure to take time for yourself and make sure to delegate responsibilities, have people help you, and of utmost importance is teamwork. If you don't have a strong team, you don't really have anything at all. But yeah, most days it's like wake up really early, like 5, maybe earlier. Some days it's like go to sleep at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and that's just because again, like I'm conducting research, I'm studying for like 3 main classes, and I'm also trying to maintain presidency. And I wouldn't recommend having a heavy load and doing presidency. It takes away from your ability to be an effective president and also a student. And so the sacrifices you have to make are literally, it comes down to like sleep. You can't really have like a huge social life. And luckily I'm going into medical, so I'm preparing myself for the journey, but maybe not everybody wants that. So I would just encourage them to look at their balance and make sure that they aren't taking on too much, because easily you can do that, especially in this role. So the legacy, my dad, like growing up, my dad would always tell me like, there's Stephen Covey, he would quote Stephen Covey, and Stephen Covey always says start with the end in mind, right? And so like I have my end in mind, and it's not here at Cuesta, this is not my end, right? This is just the beginning of a lot. But I would say that the legacy comes down to like, I hope I acted as a catalyst not only for the student government, but for the campus as a whole, to implement changes that would not otherwise be considered. Such as having conversations that are really difficult that nobody wants to have. Student suicide is just an example. But we have a lot of things the campus doesn't talk about campus-wide. And so I hope that I've been like a catalyst, and I say catalyst because I came in kind of hard with those things, and I talked a lot about those things with administration, with students, and brought awareness to it. So I would say that would be one of them. Another, I think, would just be the hard work, right? And I hope I inspired some students to be interested in research and interested in student government. And I hope that I left a passionate kind of presence to where people have a passionate response, whether it's she was really horrible, I want to do better, or wow, she was really great, I think I can do that too. I think it really comes down to like, I hope that somehow I could help another student, even if it was only one. And the final is speaking up. And so if anything, I hope to inspire others to speak up for themselves and to say, hey, this happened, and hey, this is not okay, or report it, or whatever you have to do, because when we all walk away from it, what we're left with is like our own experience. And like, if we don't acknowledge our highest needs, and like what we need to speak up for, the only person that's really going to like be affected by that is ourselves. And so I hope that I have done it enough on campus to where other students are like, hey, you know what, it's okay that I speak up, even if it's really uncomfortable. So I'm really grateful. Like, there have been a lot of hugely like instrumental people in my path, like some professors, some like administrators, some staff members, like some students. Like, they have been a huge help in this. And like, it doesn't matter like what the task is, the more people the better in this kind of environment. And I think that like, I would just like to say thank you for all the hard work that's being put into this campus, because even the people we don't notice, like, I mean, everybody's working really hard to make this a good campus. And so I just like to say